Welcome everyone. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The Dangal over the Wrestling Federation and its chief continues for day 2 as protesting wrestlers continued their stir against Brij Bhushan Singh. The wrestling body chief is accused of mismanagement, dictatorial handling, mental and even sexual exploitation of the female athletes. Now, this has been a never-before-seen revolt by Indian athletes. The only other time something like this has happened was back in 2010, when hockey players revolted against the then federation because of non-payment of their dues. You know what is different about this revolt, though? It is coming from a sport that is actually doing well. Wrestling has won a medal for India in the Olympics since 2008 in every edition till 2020 and countless other events. Unlike hockey, which was at its nadir post the hockey team failed to even qualify for the Olympics in 2008. So there is pressure mounting on the BJP MP who heads the federation, but he seems to be defiant. Meanwhile, the federation has called a special general meeting to discuss the issue, but they are unlikely to push Sharan to quit. The wrestlers also met with the sports secretary today to air their grievances. The sports ministry has already issued a deadline of 72 hours to the federation to respond to the charges. Vinesh, Sakshi and Bajrang and others meanwhile made it clear they will not quit their stir till the president goes. But they also want a complete overhaul of the way wrestling is run in India. On the serious charges of sexual abuse, the players said a few women will go and file a police complaint soon. What will happen next is the big question. Will Brij Bhushan resign himself? Will he be given an ultimatum of sorts by the sports ministry? Can the federation take a call and come together against a strongman like him? Is the situation black and white or are there shades of grey? We'll take all of those questions to our guests in just a bit. First, let me reiterate the demands that have been made by the players, and this has also come after they have met with the sports secretary today. So demand number 1, removal of the president, Brij Bhushan Sharan. This is of course an absolute a deal breaker if this doesn't happen. But they're also saying that wrestlers have to be treated better and that there should be action against the sexual exploitation complaint that they have aired, although there isn't an official complaint yet. And a new federation should be set up for wrestlers. So they're demanding a complete overhaul. Let me break down the extent of the charges that have been made by the athletes. That was yesterday and today, and the response that we've got from the wrestling chief so far. So the players' charges that Brij Bhushan has harassed sportswomen and coaches, and that male coaches also harass other athletes and female coaches at their camps. What was the response of the WFI chief? That he'll hang himself if even one allegation against him is true. He also added that there isn't a single official complaint against me. Let's see if that changes by tomorrow. The players have also said that the federation is being run in an arbitrary manner. The rules are not player friendly. They change rules and, insist that the players abide by them. The chief is saying that why didn't they have problems for the past 10 years? Why are they raising this only now? Players have said that female wrestlers have also received death threats from WFI officials, that they almost, keep a very hawk-like eye even on their personal lives. The WFI chief has said that these wrestlers are bitter. This particular set of wrestlers are bitter. They're angry because they haven't been able to perform and they cannot perform anymore. Finally, the players have said that Brij Bhushan is running a federation in a dictatorial manner, which the chief just responded by saying that all of this is a conspiracy and that a big businessman is behind it. Now, the WFI chief didn't just stop at defending himself. He's also made counter charges against the players, the set protesting against him. What are those charges? Let's take a look. He is saying that there are a few set of players who don't want to give trials for big events like every other player has to. These players are also refusing to participate in national events. Vinesh, for example, wanted to change the chief coach, but you cannot change the coach only by one person's recommendation. And he's also gone on to allege that some players have formed a local federation of sorts and they want to pick and choose which players go for national events. So he's basically suggesting that there's a lobby that is trying to dictate terms because they're all well established and actually top achievers of their sport. In fact, listen in to some of the charges that have been made by the players and what the WFI chief said on their conduct.
ओलंपिक के बाद से लगातार मैंने नेशनल खेला है और ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं टूर्नामेंट से भागी हूँ, कोई भी नहीं भागता, इवन विनेश भी नहीं भागती। एक नेशनल के लिए रिक्वेस्ट की थी कि कैंप में नाम डाल दो, क्योंकि कई बार साल थोड़ा एक्टिव हो गया, थोड़ा इंजरी है, तो एक रिक्वेस्ट थी। आप बोल रहे नहीं सुनते, कैंप में नाम नहीं है अभी तक। सोनम का नहीं है, अंशु का नहीं है, ये फ्यूचर है, मेरा नहीं है, मैं भी खेलना चाहती हूँ अभी।
जो राज्य के खिलाड़ी हैं, मैं ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि ना आप नेशनल लड़ोगे, ना आप ओपन नेशनल लड़ोगे, ना आप ट्रायल दोगे। ट्रायल भी आप चाहते हैं कि सारे खिलाड़ियों का ट्रायल हो जाए, फिर जो खिलाड़ी उसमें जीतता हो उससे आपका अकेले ट्रायल हो जाए।
The larger question we're asking today is, while we look at exactly what both sides are saying, as far as this matter is concerned and the charges against him are concerned, should Brij Bhushan not resign? That's the larger fundamental question today.
अगर हमें मजबूर किया गया तो हम कल एफआईआर भी दर्ज करवाएंगे, हम केस भी लड़ेंगे, लेकिन उसमें हिंदुस्तान के हजारों लड़कियों का, हजारों लड़कों का रेसलिंग का करियर खत्म होने की कगार पे हो जाएगा।
चाहते कि हमारे ऊपर कोई कल किसी का भी, आप लोगों में से किसी का बच्चा रेसलिंग में आए तो वो किसी दबाव में प्रैक्टिस करे, क्योंकि अपना जो जीवन है, अपनी जो ट्रेनिंग है वो कर सके।
लोगों से ये चाहते हैं, उनके समक्ष भी बात रखूंगी, चाहे वो प्रधानमंत्री जी हो। हमारी सरकार ने अब तक, आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि उनको 72 घंटे का टाइम भी दे दिया है जवाब देने के लिए। कुछ भी होने से पहले एक खिलाड़ी, आज मैं कोशिश करूंगी कि इनकी समस्या का मैं समाधान जरूर निकलवा दूं।
First up, I want to go across to Mahavir Singh Phogat, former wrestler and Olympic coach, joining us on the show. He, of course, is the father of the Phogat sisters, uncle of Vinesh. सबसे पहले फोगट जी, मुझे ये बताइए कि आपको लगता है कि ये जो रिवोल्ट लड़कियों ने किया है स्पेशली, उसकी क्या वजह थी? ऐसी क्या नौबत आई जो आपको लगता है कि उन्होंने ये रिवोल्ट किया है?
जब कोई भी जो बात सुनता नहीं प्लेयर की है, अब मनमर्जी करता है, ये लड़कियों को जो टारगेट रखता है, इनकी गलत नजर रहती है, तो इससे जो परेशान है, धमकी देता है यो।
धमकी देते हैं। एक सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट आपने बोला, गलत नजर रखते हैं लड़कियों पे, इसका इल्जाम भी ओपनली लगाया है विनेश और बाकी खिलाड़ियों ने। तो आपको क्या लगता है कि ये लड़कियां सामने आएंगी?
देखिए, आप खुद लड़की हैं, क्या लड़की इतनी हिम्मत होती है कि हमें झूठा लगा दे, आरोप लगा दे? वो लड़कियां यहाँ हाजिर हैं, यहाँ बैठी हैं धरने पर, जिन लड़कियां जो हैं वो प्रूफ है उनके पास, कोई चाहेगा तो मिलेगा।
ब्रिज भूषण ये कह रहे हैं कि ये सारी एक हरियाणा की लॉबी है जो ये सारा रिवोल्ट कर रही है, कोई अदर स्टेट प्रोटेस्ट नहीं कर रहा, सिर्फ ये हरियाणा के बच्चे हैं जो कर रहे हैं।
बिल्कुल, इन्हें जो 2003 से में जुड़ा है फेडरेशन से, और जो कैंपू से आज तक, यहाँ जो 2003 में जो वो था मलिक साहब थे जो फेडरेशन अध्यक्ष थे, कोई चर्चा में नहीं आए ने। उसके बाद पंजाब का जो मुंडेर था, कोई चर्चा में नहीं आया। या क्या तो ब्रिज भूषण आने के बाद 2 साल बाद में चर्चा में आ गए, या क्या बात, तो 10-12 साल कोई आया नहीं चर्चा में।
वो ये भी कह रहे हैं कि जो थोड़े एस्टैब्लिश स्टार्स हैं, विनेश, साक्षी वगैरह, वो ट्रायल नहीं देना चाहते, वो नेशनल्स नहीं खेलना चाहते। इनफैक्ट विनेश ने तो आज खुले में बोला वहां प्रोटेस्ट साइट में कि वो सीधा ओलंपिक्स खेलेंगे। क्या ये कहना भी सही है? क्या ये डिमांड भी सही है?
देखिए, जो इनकी ये थी, जो प्लेयर जो नेशनल में जो बाहर जो मेडल ले रहा है, जो कर रहा है, तो उसकी कोई नेशनल ट्रायल नहीं लिया करते। सिर्फ उसकी ट्रायल जो कैंप में होती, जो टीम बाहर जाती उसकी ट्रायल जब होती थी नेशनल नहीं खिलाते थे उसको, या आज से पहले ये हुआ करती थी। ये खुद ब्रिज भूषण करा था। फिर जो हरियाणा की 2 टीम नेशनल लड़ा करती, आज वो भी खत्म कर दी।
अच्छा, एक आखिरी सवाल मैं आपसे ये भी पूछना चाहती हूँ कि प्लेयर्स की आज स्पोर्ट्स सेक्रेटरी से बात हुई, स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्ट्री से एक तरह से बात हुई है, तो वो संतुष्ट क्यों नहीं है उस मीटिंग के बाद?
देखिए, जो उसकी में कोई बात नहीं हुई ना, कोई खास कोई चर्चा नहीं हुई ना, क्यों जो साई के जो अफसर थे साई के बैठे थे, खेल मंत्री का कोई आदमी नहीं था, खेल मंत्रालय का, लेकिन खेल मंत्रालय 9 बजे का टाइम दिया, उसके बाद में चर्चा होगी।
प्लेयर्स ये भी कह रहे हैं कि सिर्फ ब्रिज भूषण चले जाए उससे काफी नहीं होगा, वो चाह रहे हैं कि पूरा सिस्टम बदले, जो रेसलिंग जिस तरह से चलाई जा रही है देश में वो पूरा सिस्टम बदले, फेडरेशन को पूरे नए तरह से खड़ा किया जाए।
ऐसा है पूरा फेडरेशन के मैं नहीं कह सकता, लेकिन मैं तो जो सेक्रेटरी है, जो प्रधान है, जो ब्रिज भूषण है, 2-4 कोच है, जो एक मंडली है, ये जो माफिया मंडली है, इसको खत्म किया जाएगा।
ओके, आप कह रहे हैं कुछ लोगों की माफिया है, उसको खत्म करने की जरूरत है। महावीर फोगट, थैंक्स अ लॉट फॉर स्पीकिंग टू अस। लेट्स ओपन दिस अप टू द रेस्ट ऑफ आवर गेस्ट्स आल्सो जॉइनिंग अस। I'm joined by G. Rajaraman, sports writer, someone who's worked very closely with the Sports Authority of India as well. Harpal Singh Bedi is senior sports journalist in India. Balwant Phogat is member of the Khap Panchayat that has also issued an ultimatum that Brij Bhushan needs to go. Advocate Mahima Singh is from the Congress party. They have mounted pressure on the BJP to take action in this regard because the member concerned, the president concerned, is indeed a BJP member. But I want to begin on the sports aspect first. Harpal Singh Bedi, I want to understand from you, do you think Brij Bhushan will resign? There is a meeting that is now scheduled for January 22 of the WFI. Do you think he's the kind of person who will resign, or can he be made to resign?
Hello. See, you are asking me a question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
The question is, if this is a mob mentality now suddenly you file a case or launch an allegation and demand an immediate resignation of a man. If this is the way, then everybody in this institution or all the sports association will have to resign, because no player is happy with the federation. It is not only wrestling, and you don't know the history of wrestling federation, because everybody is just jumping, unprecedented, nothing. If you remember, there was one chap called V.C. Shukla, all-powerful man, information and broadcasting minister during Mrs. Gandhi's time. He was the president of Wrestling Federation of India, and he was virtually stripped of his clothes in the stadium. Now, the problem here is, for the first time, the wrestlers, there is a lot of discussion, wrestlers on the street. Now, what used to happen earlier, that the wrestlers used to beat up the officials in the stadium. Now, instead of beating the officials in the stadium, they are on the street, simple as that. But the question here is two things. If this is a sexual exploitation, then there is no compromise on that.
Yeah.
Then there should be an inquiry
a
into
complaint.
the whole issue.
A complaint and a legal case.
Sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, the temperature has risen because Vinesh Phogat cried and said sexual exploitation. And there is no compromise on it. You know that. But
no, fair enough. I'm not saying that resignation will solve the charge of sexual exploitation. Absolutely not. But someone has to come forward and file a complaint. And I think Vinesh has indicated today that 4 or 5 girls will indeed come forward and lodge a complaint. We'll wait and see what happens.
They should do it.
They should do it. Absolutely. Absolutely. But what you are saying is that in the interim, Mr. Bedi, if I get you right, you are saying in the interim, it is unfair to ask for Mr. Bhushan's position. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely. I stand by that, because every official in this system is condemned.
Yeah.
And we live in a most corrupt society, which we are part of it. So you cannot blame that only the sports officials are corrupt. The bureaucrats are corrupt, politicians are corrupt, we are corrupt.
But sir, so that's not a defense for what Brij Bhushan is being accused for, right? That everybody is corrupt is not a defense for him.
I'm no advocate for Brij Bhushan. He may be a criminal or he may be not. The question is, you cannot just level an allegation against anybody.
Okay, fair enough.
Because if a murderer also gets a chance, now you cannot say we just want to ask him to get out. Remember one thing, unfortunately, fortunately, it's becoming Haryana versus rest. That's the problem.
So you agree to that?
Haryana versus the rest.
So you are saying this is indeed that. I asked Mahavir Phogat that question. That is there something else going on here? Is this a turf war? Is this Haryana versus rest?
It is at the moment. Now, why? Let me tell you, I'm no body that Brij Bhushan should be consigned to dustbin. I'm not bothered about it. But if this is the way, then everybody will be consigned.
Okay, you're saying the manner in which his head is being called for is unfair. Okay, you're saying the manner in which he's being asked to be removed is unfair.
You cannot remove just because you see everybody is now coming. The Mahila Sangatans are coming, the lawyers are coming, everybody is coming because they want a TV time. They don't have no idea.
Okay,
if the
fair enough. Which is why
go to the police. They should go to the police, file a case, FIR, and then demand an inquiry.
Sir, I get you, which is why I have noted eminent journalists like yourself, who I have seen cover the sport for far longer than me. G. Rajaraman is here to get your perspective on this, because I have seen some of the issues crop up between the federations and the players in the past too. G. Rajaraman, would it be fair to say, Mr. Bedi is being very frank, but would it be fair to say that there are no black and whites here? There are indeed shades of grey.
I think that is what life is, Shivani. There are no blacks and whites. There are plenty of shades of grey. And I don't think it's fair on our part to sit in judgment and say whether somebody should resign, whether somebody should step down while an inquiry is happening. We'll have to see what is the scale of inquiry and who's doing the inquiry. If it is a criminal inquiry that is being launched, if there is a charge sheet that is being filed, then I think Mr. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, it will be fair to ask him to step aside. It happened in Dr. Narendra Batra's case. He was asked to step aside because there was a CBI case against him and there was a charge sheet that was framed. Now, until that happens, I think we'll have to wait for what really transpires, whether the wrestlers actually go to the police, whether they go to even the National Commission for Women.
Yeah.
There are so many avenues open to them. Yes, Janpat is one great idea. You get public sympathy. But if you want action, you need to do it in a better place. And that could be the Sports Ministry, that could be the Sports Authority of India, that could be the National Commission for Women, or it could be simply the cops. You need to go somewhere and
that's when we are focusing only on the sexual assault charges, right? But there is a larger revolt that they are mounting, G. Rajaraman. Now, we discussed this yesterday when you were on this show, and I think a lot of people don't understand, because the clamor is that why is the government not acting? The finer aspect of this is that the government cannot intervene in an Olympics federation or the body. It cannot just remove willy-nilly, if something like this comes up, an elected president. So I want you to explain for our viewers. From what I understand, I spoke to a senior vice president of the federation today. A general body meeting has to be called. The general body has to vote out the elected president. They have to prove a majority. They have to have 2/3 of their members in the house and vote against an elected president. That's the only way, or is there any other way?
I think that is the best way to do, is to get a vote of no confidence on the floor of the House, where all the state associations come together and do a special general body meeting. But if that doesn't happen, yes, the government can intervene. It has intervened in a couple of federations before. It has got the court to intervene. We saw what happened in the Table Tennis Federation of India. So there are plenty of avenues for athletes. The courts will always stand up for them. We have seen in several other federation cases where the courts have stood up for the athletes and they have set aside some of the election of the office bearers. Now, Brij Bhushan Saran Singh has completed 12 years. His term is up. He can't be president anymore. So asking for his removal is actually fait accompli. He's going to go out in any case sooner than later.
Yeah, but the issue is that here the action that the government can take, unless they kind of convince him and give him an ultimatum behind the scenes and say, you go now. Barring that, the only action that they can take is that they can suspend the entire federation, which I don't think that they would like to do. This is an Asian Games year. You've got Olympics coming up, and they wouldn't like to meddle either, because then an international suspension can be invited, right? Am I right?
Absolutely. They will be wary of that. Government will be wary of inviting a suspension of the Wrestling Federation of India by the International Wrestling Federation. The IOC will probably be watching what is happening in India at this point of time. But I really believe that if you want a solution, people need to sit on the table and discuss. If the ministry was keen on finding a solution, my own take, I no longer work with the Sports Authority of India. My own take as a sport journalist is that they should have got the athletes get back to the camp. that is the safest place for them.
But
get no coaches there.
They've suspended that camp, which was about to happen.
That is what I'm saying, Shivani. They should have had the camp. They should have asked the athletes to come back, pending investigation, ask them what their complaint is. At this point of time, they only have media interaction. I don't think there's anything in writing with the ministry yet. So they needed to investigate, get the athletes under one roof, and the safest place for them would be the Sports Authority of India in Lucknow. Don't have the coaches there for a week, 10 days until the case is resolved. And then you decide which coaches to appoint there. Instead of that, they have been left in the cold. I really wish the ministry and the IOA both had stood up for the athletes at this point of time and not left them to their devices.
I'll come back to our guest in just a bit. Geeta Phogat is also joining us. She's also a noted Indian wrestler. Geeta Phogat, आपने आज ट्वीट किया था, आपने बोला कि हर इंडियन की जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि इस वक्त में जो प्लेयर्स लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं उनके साथ खड़े रहें. आप क्या मानते हैं जो चार्जेस उन्होंने लगाए हैं, क्या वो चार्जेस सब रेसलर्स के बिहाफ पे वो लगा रहे हैं जो बैठे हैं धरने पे?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल शिवानी जी, मैं कहना चाहती हूँ कि उनमें जो उन्होंने चार्जेस लगाए हैं और जो वो बोल रहे हैं वो 100% सच है, उसमें कुछ भी झूठ नहीं है. आप ये देखिए, हमारी बहन जो मतलब वहाँ पे देश का मीडिया बैठा हुआ है, वो इतने बड़े मंच के ऊपर वो मतलब पूरे देश के सामने वो मतलब उनके जो अंदर जो तकलीफ है तो वो आंखों में से उनको झलकी है कि कितनी तकलीफों को सामना करना पड़ता है खिलाड़ियों को. और मैं एक बात और भी कहना चाहती हूँ कि आज हमारे जो खिलाड़ियों ने जो ये मांग उठाई है, ये एक बहुत ही हिम्मत का काम है. इतना आसान काम नहीं है इतने बड़े सिस्टम खिलाफ बोलना. और मुझे गर्व है हमारे खिलाड़ियों के ऊपर कि आज वो इस सच को देश के सामने लेकर के आए हैं.
गीता जी, मैं आपसे जानना चाहती हूँ, आपने बहुत साल रेसलिंग की, तो ये जो सेक्सुअल एक्सप्लॉयटेशन की बात कर रहे हैं स्पेशली लखनऊ के कैंप में, और ये भी कहा है प्लेयर्स ने क्योंकि वो ब्रिजभूषण के घर के पास कैंप है इसलिए वहां लगाते हैं और वहां पे एक्सप्लॉयटेशन होता है. आप कुछ शेयर करना चाहेंगे इस मामले में?
देखिए शिवानी जी, हम कैंपों में रहे हैं और हमने कई बार हमने इन चीजों को महसूस भी किया है. लेकिन प्रॉब्लम यही होती थी कि हम अगर एक कोई बोले तो ये लगता था कि हम बोलेंगे तो सुनेगा नहीं, कोई बोले या ना बोले, तो बहुत सारी चीजें थी. बहुत सारी चीजें थी. हमें लगा कि अगर पूरी टीम एक साथ, अगर जैसे आज सभी के सभी खिलाड़ी मतलब आप बोलेंगे कि पूरे सब टॉप परफॉर्मर इंडिया के आज एक साथ आए हैं, तो सबसे बड़ी बात यही है कि सबका एक साथ था ना, ये
वो
छोटी बात नहीं है, ये बहुत बड़ी बात, वो सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी था.
अच्छा, एक और सवाल मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ कि कुछ काउंटर चार्जेस ब्रिजभूषण जी ने लगाए हैं कि ये प्लेयर्स अपनी मनमानी करते हैं, उनको सारे प्लेयर्स का देखना होता है जो पूरे देश से आते हैं, जो यंगर प्लेयर्स उभर के आ रहे हैं वो किसी एस्टैब्लिश प्लेयर को फेवर नहीं कर सकते, चाहे वो नेशनल का मामला हो या ट्रायल का मामला हो.
देखिए, मुझे नहीं लगता कि उनके जो क्रिया है ये कहीं 1% भी ठीक है, क्योंकि आप किन एथलीट की बात कर रहे हैं, आपके चाहे वो फीमेल हो चाहे मेल हो, सारे के सारे आपके खिलाफ आपके बैठे हुए हैं. तो आप किस एथलीट की बात कर रहे हैं, किस रेसलर की बात कर रहे हैं कि आप सपोर्ट करते हैं, किन की आप बात कर रहे हैं? आपके जो देश की, आपके जो रेसलिंग की जो क्रीम वहाँ पे बैठी हुई पूरे के पूरे खिलाड़ी, तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि ये कुछ निर्धार उन्होंने कुछ प्रतिक्रिया दी है.
ओके. Geeta Phogat, I appreciate you joining us and sharing your views. Let me bring in some of our other panelists who are also joining us. I want to go across to Mr. Phogat, Balwant Phogat, who's from the Khap Panchayat from Dadri. बलवंत जी, आपने भी बोला है कि जो सारी डिमांड है वो लड़कियों की पूरी होनी चाहिए, वरना आप क्या करेंगे, आपका अगला स्टेप क्या होगा?
देखो शिवानी जी, सबसे पहले तो आपको नमस्कार
जी.
आज जैसे हमारी जो खापों की पंचायत हुई थी दादरी जिले की, उस पंचायत में हमने जैसे सभी खापों की तरफ से एक मांग की है कि जो भारतीय कुश्ती संघ के जो अध्यक्ष हैं इनको तुरंत प्रभाव से पदमुक्त किया जाए सबसे पहले. हेलो,
हाँ जी, आपकी आवाज आ रही है.
उनको सबसे पहले पदमुक्त किया जाए, क्योंकि जब तक ये पद पे बने रहेंगे निष्पक्ष जांच की उम्मीद भी कम है कि न्याय मिल जाए. तो सबसे पहले सरकार को इनको पदमुक्त करना चाहिए. उसके बाद कोई सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जज हैं, उनसे इसकी जांच होनी चाहिए।
अच्छा।
और एक बात, जैसे हमारे जो सम्मानित ओलंपिक में जो गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट प्लेयर बैठे हैं, जिन्होंने पूरे भारत देश का नाम रोशन किया है, हमारा तिरंगा लहराया है पूरे संसार के अंदर, तो आज मैडम आप ये देखो इनके साथ कितनी ज्यादती हो रही है। इतने बड़े प्लेयर, और जो भारत का मुख्य स्थान है जंतर मंतर, वहां पे बैठने को ये मजबूर हुए हैं, तो कोई ना कोई तो बात है ही जिसके लिए मजबूर हुए हैं। उसके ऊपर सरकार ने भी जल्द से जल्द संज्ञान लेना चाहिए।
जी, उनकी स्पोर्ट्स मिनिस्ट्री के साथ आज मीटिंग हुई है, लेकिन ये मामला ऐसा है जो हमारे एक्सपर्ट्स भी बोल रहे हैं कि इमीडिएटली कोई एक्शन नहीं आ सकता, एक प्रोसेस होगा, उसके बाद ही एक्शन आ सकता है। लेट मी टेक दैट क्वेश्चन टू एडवोकेट महिमा सिंह ऑल्सो। You've heard all of our panelists, Mahima Singh, and you know a lot of people who've covered sport, who covered sports for a living and have done it for 30-40 years. They have a different sense when such things happen than, perhaps the rest of the media. And I'm one of those who've covered sports in my life. We cannot just sack people because an allegation has been made, is what they're contending in public. There has to be a process. The ministry has given time to the federation to respond, and the person concerned must also get to present his view.
Good evening, Shivani, and good evening all. Yes, you're right. One cannot be sacked just like that. But when there is something like this, the WFA president slapping a wrestler just because he asked a question, and this is a couple of years ago, this is not anything recent, and still he continues on the post for, he's overboard in his tenure actually, and yet he continues to be there. Then the questions need to be asked. While our Prime Minister is busy beating drums in Kalaburgi, our players are sitting there on Jantar Mantar and they're asking whether the Prime Minister or the Home Minister will speak to them. There's no tweet, there is not even a single word that has come out from the Prime Minister or the Home Minister against the alleged dictatorial ways. It's not only the sexual harassment that they're alleging of. They're also alleging of the dictatorial ways of this chief. And the video that I just flashed on your screen, which I believe that, should have been a part of the report. That's my personal view, that it should, wherever this whole incident is being reported, this video is inevitable to the report because dictatorial ways are very visible in this video. There is no way you can slap a player on the stage like that just because they asked a question. And then it's a matter of a fact that the national camp happens at Lucknow. Isn't it a matter of fact?
Yeah.
And is it just a coincidence that the home of the WFI president happens to be in Lucknow itself, and he's a 6-time MP there? And the solitary incidents on top of that, Shivani. We have seen couple of months ago in Haryana. It's not even a month completed since that incident. The sports minister of Haryana alleged of sexual harassment, and thereafter the coach, the woman coach who had alleged, was immediately transferred from Panchkula to Jind. Jind is a remote district of the state, which is why Vinesh, Phogat and Sakshi Malik have categorically said that we will not divulge any details here. We will only divulge any details to the probing authorities as and when they are formed.
Yeah, because they want to protect the future of the victims, the alleged victims here, and I get that. But fundamentally, an action on sexual abuse can only be taken legally. I mean, even removing Brij Bhushan is not enough for that. That's too serious a charge to just deal with taking his position, is what I think all of us agree on. There's no disagreement on that. There must be a proper legal inquiry. For that, a victim has to come forward.
I have just cited Sandeep Singh's case, wherein another appalling fact is that Sandeep Singh actually came out and said, I'm handing over my portfolio to the CM. I mean, that's new to the ways of governance in this country. You can resign, but you cannot hand over your,
No, so he's divulged his sports portfolio, right? What's wrong with that?
Yeah, no, but see, he's still continued to be a minister for the other side, and the CM in Haryana.
No, I don't want to get into that because frankly we're not discussing that. We're discussing the issue we're discussing, but I don't want to get into the politics of this. Yes, both of these are BJP members here and ministers you're talking about, but let's just stay away from the politics.
Please allow me to complete this.
Yeah.
I have patiently waited. There is a very strong political aspect to this whole issue because the WFI president happens to be a BJP MP, a 6-term MP, one of which was with Samajwadi Party, but 5 terms he has had with the BJP, and BJP's record of tainted MPs is unknown to the citizens of this country.
Okay, I don't have a BJP representative to respond to you, but I take your point, and of course the opposition parties, all of them have mounted this allegation that something needs to be done, some action needs to be taken. But, you know, my attempt was also to show why, if no action has happened so far, why is that? We need to understand that as well. I want to run, ma'am, please, I'm running out of time, please. I also want to run a quick excerpt of what Vinesh Phogat said today, because, you know, fundamentally I'm discussing the athletes today. And what is going on in the federation and the way the sport is being run. So, and understanding their grouses. So, let's listen to what Vinesh Phogat said. She did say today to the media that we are not going to play the nationals, we're going to directly play the Olympics. Let's play that out.
पर कोई नहीं खेलेगा, जितने आ रहे हैं कोई नेशनल नहीं खेलेगा। हम खिलाड़ी सारे सीधे ओलंपिक्स में जाने को तैयार हैं। हरियाणा कुश्ती संघ जैसे ब्रिज भूषण शरण सिंह जी हैं, वैसी ही हरियाणा की फेडरेशन बना दी गई है। जो नई फेडरेशन बनाई गई है वो उनके ही जैसे लोग हैं।
Okay, Rajaraman, again, I come to you to just try and understand. You know, we know there's a history of a clash between Vinesh and the Wrestling Federation, although they let her off with a warning after a provisional suspension because of what transpired in the Tokyo Olympics, and there was gross indiscipline that came out against her. Whatever the reasons may have been, it is a past episode. When Vinesh, for example, today says that we're not going to play the nationals, we want to be selected to the Olympics directly, is that fair?
I don't think that is right at all. No athlete can ask for a place in the Olympic Games. There is the Asian Games this year. Had she spoken about the Asian Games, we might have understood. But you can't block a place for the Olympic Games, which is next year. Now, you look at other sport, Shivani, and I think the viewers will understand what I'm trying to say here. Shooting, for example. You could be a world #1, but you have to go back to the trials. And shooting has trials every 3 months or every 4 months. Before a World Cup, they pick teams for 2 international events. Then you come back to the trials. You look at athletics, it has got a set of people in the national camp. There will be trials, you have to perform in the national championship, and then you are selected. You look at boxing, unless you are part of the national team, unless you're part of the national camp, and you compete in the national championship, you can't get there. So I don't think the sense of entitlement is right. I feel for Vinesh, she's one of the finest wrestlers we've had, but you have to be part of the system. I remember 2 athletes going to the Supreme Court in 2018, Chavi and Prachi. Both of them complained that they were better than the relay team that was chosen by the Athletic Federation of India. They were told by the Supreme Court that the Federation has got the right to select. Now, if you have an issue with selection policy, like Manika Batra did, please go and complain to the High Court, Delhi High Court. You will get judgment there. You will get a favorable judgment. You have to
present your side, and, you know, every side has to be listened to. All right. You know, my attempt is to just kind of understand what these charges are, apart from the, you know, the hysteria that has gotten built around what has happened. But in no way should the concerns that the athletes are raising be not taken with utmost seriously. I seriously do hope that we have a response from the WFI in time, and then the sports ministry looks at it and see what can be done. They cannot maybe directly do anything, but the IOA, you know, actually, Mr. Rajaraman, I wanted to ask you this. What I have found astounding in all of this is I've tried multiple people today. I've called everyone, virtually everyone. The newly elected IOA, which is now led by an athlete of the repute of PT Usha. It has so many other athletes in the body. The Athletes Commission, right, which is led by Mary Kom, Sharat Kamal, and so many others. Maybe they had a program where they were busy today, but literally nobody has spoken. That silence is also problematic.
It is very deafening, Shivani. The silence from IOA. You have taken over only recently. I understand you are a new executive. But not even a single word in support of the athletes. I think this is the time the wrestlers need counseling, the wrestlers need support. We can't sit in judgment whether they are right or wrong. Let law takes its own course, and then let find out what the truth is. But they need support. They need emotional support, and this is where PT Usha, Gagan Narang, Kalyan Chaubey, Yogeshwar Dutt, who is in the executive committee of IOA. All of them have kept quiet, and that is very, very disappointing, to say the least.
All right. I'll end on that note. Let's see what happens. We'll track the story very carefully and closely. I do thank all of our guests for joining us.